Hersh, I love you. Stay strong. Survive.
That was Rachel Goldberg addressing the crowd at last night's international-focused rally in Tel Aviv. Just a few weeks ago, Hamas released a video of Hersh, the first proof of life since he was kidnapped from that Nova music festival on October 7th. I spoke to Rachel about seeing her son in captivity and why she wants a seat at the negotiating table. Rachel Goldberg, thank you for being here. Nice to see you again.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a couple of weeks now since Hamas released that video of your son, Hersh. Give me a sense of how it felt to see him after so long, and how you felt.
Well, after more than half a year of living in darkness, both him and us, for us at least to have this crumb of proof that Hersh is alive was, of course, indescribably wonderful on the one hand, and yet extremely painful to see the compromised and fragile medical and emotional situation that he clearly is in. But you can picture, if someone's a parent, they can picture what that would be like, or if they're not a parent, they could picture what their own parent would be feeling. It was such a mixture of feeling intense gratitude and relief to see him moving and talking and hear his voice after so long, and then to feel heartbroken that, I mean, he is still being held in a very horrible situation in an active war zone with this grievous now disability that he is, struggling with.
Yeah. Just so people understand, you knew that he had a severed arm. I don't think that you knew what had happened after that, but you've obviously seen that there's been some sort of medical attention given to his arm. So tell me what you thought when you saw that, knowing that he's alive, but there is this, as you point out, really serious disability.
Well, we had hoped and prayed and been optimistic that he had received treatment. And from the video that Hamas released on day 201, we see that the, right below his elbow, his forearm is the stump you can see is pink, which indicates that it is healing. We have had intelligence medical teams that specialize in analyzing video of, over medical issues. They have explained to us that he still will require 1 or perhaps 2 surgeries to get to a point so that that limb could hopefully be able to adapt to a prosthetic. And we were also very worried. I mean, I'm to be honest with you, I'm more concerned in many ways with his mental and emotional health rather than the health of the arm.
Did you see signs of that? Did he seem like your son, or were there signs of some trauma? I would imagine there were.
That's a great question, because I actually felt that even though we are told he's reading a script, I still felt whispers of Hersh. First of all, we never speak with Hersh in Hebrew, and the video is in Hebrew, because I think that it was created for a Hebrew-speaking audience. So our family never speaks Hebrew together. So that was different for me. And he's very animated and dramatic in the video, which is, Hersh is this very laid back, easygoing, happy-go-lucky kind of person. So I think that also was something that was being asked of him that he was doing. But I felt whispers of Hersh, and especially at the end of the video, he says, but most importantly to my family. And then he says to my mom, dad, and he says our daughter's names. And then he says, I love you and I miss you and I need you to stay strong for me. And again, even if that was scripted, I will take it, because I have been so starved for anything. I don't care. You can, whistle Dixie and I'll be happy.
I would imagine. Tell me where you think or what you're hearing in terms of where things are at, because it did seem a couple weeks ago as though we were close to some sort of ceasefire deal, but you and I both know that has happened many, many times, and now the efforts seem to be stalled again. What is the message you are giving both to the American administration and to the Israeli government, Netanyahu's government?
Well, there are 5 parties in that negotiating room, and I am very frustrated with the reality that there is not yet a deal. And I think that I'm convinced that if it was the daughter, son, brother, sister, spouse, father, mother, grandfather of those negotiators who was being held for 225 days, maybe this is me just being frustrated and in misery. I'm convinced that there would be a solution already. I definitely feel that everybody has to get back in that room, and the understanding is you don't come out till there's a deal. The end.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. Or, I mean, John and I made an Instagram post saying, why don't you invite us into the room? And why don't you invite a family of Gazan civilians who are suffering into the room? And I have a feeling between our family and their family and us saying, listen, people, none of us are leaving until we get a solution so that we could stop all this suffering in our neighborhood, that we would maybe get a solution. So we're very frustrated. And we are hopeful and optimistic that people will get back to work and that people will figure out how do we decide what is better for our people rather than deciding how do we hate our enemy or have issues with the other.
So what do you do now? You've got this video, you've seen him, which is, I know, reassuring in some ways, but how does it give you more hope? Are you able to be strong for him as he asked?
Well, every single day we are strong for him. It's reflexive, it's primitive, it's innate, it's what parents do, it's what loved ones do. And every single day we get up, we work 20-hour days, we talk to every person of power, of influence, anyone in government that we can get to. We're constantly traveling all over the world. We're going to leave again Sunday night and travel, and we're never stopping. I mean, our friend Ruby Chen, who is also the father of a hostage being held, one of the American 8, he always says, we get up every morning and we sprint a marathon. And I think what a lot of the advocacy work that we are continuing to do is to try to explain to the world that these 132 remaining people represent 25 different countries, including Canada, by the way. And they are Christians, Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus. You very rarely hear about the Muslim Arabs who are being held, or about the Thai Buddhists being held, or about the Black Christian Africans being held, or the Nepalese, or the Mexicans, or the Argentinians, or the Germans. There are more Germans being held, German nationals being held, than Americans. There are the American 8 who are being held. You don't hear a lot about them in America. This is problematic that there is, for whatever reason, and I don't know because I'm not part of the world of the media, that the illusion has been created that this is a monolithic, homogenous group of people, when in fact it's a very diverse group of people. And I also think people have trouble holding on to the two truths. We're very advanced, our species. We can hold two truths. You could be terribly worried about the innocent civilians in Gaza who are suffering horribly. And you can also be worried about the innocent civilians in Gaza who were dragged there on October 7th, who are suffering horribly. You can feel for both of those groups of innocent civilians in Gaza. And I think somehow there's been a deliberate attempt to separate and create a binary situation there. And that's an injustice and a disservice to all of the people suffering.
Rachel, thank you for speaking with me. I hope we speak again, sending you and your family good wishes, of course.
Thanks so much, Rosemary.